Welcome to Picks with the Professor, the show where a real statistics professor gives you sports betting tips. I am your host, Professor Sides. For the latest updates, information, and picks, you can follow me on Twitter at Professor Sides. This Major League Baseball episode covers every game scheduled to be played on Monday, October 3rd, 2022. In case you're new here, I built a mathematical model for win probability using hitter and pitcher projections I've created in order to make one money line or run line play on every game 7 days a week. There are no Sunday shows. Please note that these probabilities assume normal starting lineups and use rosters current as of the time of this recording. What will be shown on the banners on the screen are the thresholds for the A and B grade plays that you can make the best decisions possible based on the current odds of the books you do business with. My goals for this episode include sharing key information about today's games, giving you a few things to think on, and explaining why certain plays are being made in order for you to come up with picks that you are comfortable with. I never recommend blindly tailing or fading any pick, but rather to hear the justifications and thought processes to make sure you're fully on board with me or against me before investing your hard-earned money. As I like to say, take what you like and leave the rest. As I go through my plays, remember there are no locks in gambling, so I'll give you our loves, likes, and leans, i.e. A, B, and C grades, indicate my confidence level with respect to scaling wagers. As always, please remember that good and bad variance will occur, so as much as I'd like to say we'll be profitable each and every day, that is an impossible reality for any gambler. Solid bounce back week last week. Got 3 days left of the regular season, so let's finish this out strong. And then on to the playoffs. Looking forward to a lot of good baseball there. We'll have more playoff episodes for you. They'll be a little shorter, so it'll be good if you're a little more crunch for time, but still going to have a lot of great baseball betting tips for you this week. But before we get to today's slate, some reminders. Please hit that like button if you're on YouTube. Also, if you're in yet, please consider subscribing or following. It's free, and if you turn on notifications, you won't miss any of the college basketball, MLB, or college football content that this channel provides. Check out Horse Racing Today if you like to play the ponies. You can find this stuff at horseracingtoday.net. They've got a team of 5 with over 125 years of combined experience in handicapping horse races. There's an angle they don't know or bias they can't identify. Check out their YouTube shows at the website. Those links are in the description. And as a reminder, we've started up a Patreon page for those of you looking to support the show. Membership starts at just $3 per month. Benefits get you things like exclusive access to the play of the day, our Discord chat group, ad-free and early access to the shows, and early access to projected spreads. For this Monday, a lot of games still without lines, so I'll try to do my best to indicate, assuming it is the current starting pitchers, that we've projected exactly how I would play things. And of course, for all of them, check Twitter and the Google Sheet later on for updates, as I'll be making plays once we get lines available. But already got a lot of plays I like here. No day games, but 6:10 Eastern. We'll get an early evening start between the Royals and the Guardians. These two teams just finished up a 3-game series and playing another 3-game series as the quirk of moving one of the early season series to the back end of the season. It's happening for the Rockies and Dodgers as well. Kind of a very weird quirk. But the Guardians just continue to be our good friends. I'm on location here, traveling at a stats conference, actually. And I didn't bring any baseball jerseys, but I thought, I could have just brought my Guardians jersey, just worn it every day, because the Guardians are our team. I want to back them again here. Another A-grade play, as you can see on screen there. Sideline indicates if you can get minus 183 or better, that's an A-grade pick. The price I was able to lock in was Guardians minus 173, so it's a pretty good price on them. Love them to get it done for us again. I also like this under 7 right now. I have to pay a little bit of juice, but Sideline says it should be 6.3. Probably would go under 6.5, but I'd rather pay a little bit of juice and go under 7. A 7 is such a common ending here. We've got a chilly night in Cleveland. Low 60s to start, upper 50s to close. And the winds will be blowing in at around 10 miles an hour for most of this one. So runs are going to be at a premium. Thought they would be Sunday, and both teams just exploded. Sunday games sometimes get weird. Either way, one game is an indication of what's going to happen the next day. Different starting pitchers, different everything, ball bouncing different ways. Under didn't work for a Sunday, but I expect a low-scoring game here on Monday, and I expect the Guardians to win again like they've been doing so much for us here. So like the under, I love the Guardians, A-grade play. Pitching-wise, it'll be Tristan McKenzie and Zach Greinke. Greinke does have a 3.78 ERA, having a solid season. The underlying metrics say he's been a little bit lucky, doesn't go extremely deep. Not a bad pitcher, and that's why I said I think the Guardians don't score a ton of runs, but I think the Guardians can score off of him and or that subpar Royals bullpen. McKenzie's having an even better year, 2.99 ERA. And while the advanced metrics also say for him that it's probably not that good, he's still a better pitcher than Greinke. The Guardians' bullpen is better. The offense is better. This is all Cleveland for me. Like I said, minus 173 is a solid price. I'm going to stick to the money line rather than the run line because I don't expect a lot of runs, and so I don't think that run line really offers value. Doesn't mean they can't win by multiple runs. It just means I think the safer plays lay a little bit of odds and just back the Guardians like we've been doing for most of the second half of the season, mostly to profitable wagers. 6:35 Eastern, first pitch. Cardinals at the Pirates. Got another chilly one here, similar to Cleveland, low 60s to start, upper 50s to close. Winds will be blowing out or across, but also at 5 miles an hour under, so not really much of a wind effect. It'll be Miles Mikolas and Jose Quintana both pitching in this one, as they're both going to be on an innings or pitch count limit. It's kind of a tandem start, and here's the thing. It doesn't really matter which one of them goes. I've got Mikolas as a slightly better pitcher than Quintana, according to the model, but the Pirates' offense is a little bit better against righties. So subbing in Quintana, who's a little bit worse, but also the Pirates a little bit worse on lefties, kind of balances that out. So I don't think it really matters which one goes to start, which one goes more innings. It's kind of like the same guy. And actually might be a little bit more favorable to the Cardinals because these guys aren't trying to go 7 innings. It's hard to say exactly how, will they use it to their advantage and say we can throw all of our pitches first round through, or what they'll do. It's hard to know. This game doesn't mean anything for them, but they are going to try to go out and get outs. A tune-up start for the playoffs still is I want to execute my pitches. It's not a spring training thing where they might throw 25 changeups in a row. I don't foresee that. I see whatever's happening on the mound for the Cardinals, those two guys, going well for them. I think the Cardinals are more likely to win this game than not, but again, it's always about the price. Sideline says this should be Cardinals minus 164. So really about minus 150 is about the cut price for an A-grade play on the Cardinals. Anything in the minus 150s would be a B-grade pick. For the Pirates, really needing plus 170s or plus 180s. And at that point, you might run line here. Sideline only thinks 7.6 runs, so not a high-scoring game. A game the Pirates aren't extremely likely to win, but at some point there might be some value, either taking them to win or taking them on the run line if the price is high enough. So it just all depends on the price here. But again, expecting the Cardinals to win, model says they win 62% of the time. So the question is, can you get a price such that 62% is profitable, or do you want the 38%, depending on what sort of plus odds you can get? And again, expecting about 7.5 runs. So at 8, I'd go under, and a 7, I would go over. 6:40 Eastern, first pitch, Cubs at the Reds. Going to start off hot here. 2 of the first 3 games, I got A-grade plays on. I'm all over the Cubs here. Current price is plus 113. As you can see on the screen there, Sideline wants plus 106 for an A-grade play. Model says it should be Cubs minus 104. So the Cubs should be slight road favorites. It's more or less a coin toss game, but plus 113 in a coin toss situation makes a lot of sense. You can look run line on this one, but the run line prices I was seeing was like minus 180, and that's just way too expensive, in my opinion, on a game like this. I'd rather just go with the plus odds in a coin toss situation and say the Cubs have been playing fairly well this month. The Reds haven't. I think the starting pitcher gap between these two guys is not very large. I do think Hunter Green is a slightly better pitcher than Wesneski. Obviously, Wesneski, a nice 2.33 ERA, but it's only 5 games. It's a little bit smoke and mirrors. My metrics say it should be about a run higher. And obviously, being a young guy, he doesn't project as well. So I still think Hunter Green's the better pitcher, but I don't think it's by much. I think Wesneski's fairly average, and Hunter Green is barely better than average. So given the Cubs have a pretty big edge on offense, relievers, I do like the Reds relievers better, but the Cubs' edge on offense is just too much to overcome here, in my opinion, given that the pitching is mostly even. Like I said, kind of a coin toss game. Being in Cincinnati helps the Reds out a little bit. Obviously, though, they're not going to have any home field advantage at this point other than the travel spot. Give me the Cubs, plus 113 A-grade pick. Again, as long as we're getting plus 105 really or better, I love the Cubs here. Sideline says 8. 7.7 for the total. Actual total is 8. You could go under 8 if you felt like it. Both these bullpens are a little bit scary. It's just not a big enough edge for me really to play the total here. It's a pass. I think they've priced this one fairly well. Weather-wise, you do have a hitter-friendly ballpark, but you're going to have fairly pitcher-friendly temperature, starting off in the upper 60s, but closing in the mid-50s for this one. It's going to cool off as the night goes along. Wind will be blowing maybe out, maybe across. There's a lot of variability on this wind, 5 to 10 miles an hour. If it's across, won't help anybody. If it's out, it'll help the hitters. Right now, it's giving a subtle boost to the hitters because it's probably going to carry the ball just a little bit, but not by much. We're talking only a mere feet. So we're not going to give too much help to the hitters. It's a hitter-friendly ballpark, so the under's a little bit tougher, especially because it will start off a little bit warmer, but as it cools off, like I said, to me, it's just a pass in the total. I think it's priced fairly well at 8. 7.5 or 8 make a lot of sense either way. So if I go 8.5, I'd go under. But at 8, I think it's a pass. I'm just sticking with the Cubs play on this one. Hopefully, whatever you're getting your money on this one, the price is still good plus odds on the Cubbies. 6:40 Eastern, first pitch Braves at the Marlins. Braves not completely wrapping up the division, but with a nice weekend, they've definitely gotten pretty close to it here. It'll be Bryce Elder versus Jesus Luzardo in this one. Elder, a solid 2.76 ERA, but the advanced metrics say it should be about 4. Against Jesus Luzardo, 3.53 ERA, and the underlying metrics say maybe actually a little bit better than that. I do think Luzardo is the better pitcher in this one. And the Marlins, like I keep saying, continue to fight, playing the Brewers really well this weekend and making their lives miserable. Do they do the same thing for the Braves? It's quite possible, or it's quite possible that they, lose by 1. I think this Marlins run line thing or taking chances on their money line, I think it makes sense to ramp up the season. They're still playing very hard. Those plus odds are pretty enticing. Or excuse me, if we can get good plus odds, it'd be pretty enticing. Right now, there's no line out, but as you can see on screen, plus 150 or better would be a B grade pick into the mid plus 160s and A grade. Or like I said, you see on the screen there, Sunline projects 7.3 runs. So a plus 1.5, which we've been doing with the Marlins, could make a lot of sense. For the Braves, I need about minus 130 for an A grade play, mid minus 140s for a B grade play. Braves coming off that Sunday Night Baseball, have to be a little bit careful there. Traveling, coming off the emotional series, they're still going to be playing hard, still going to be trying to win this game, obviously. But if they were to let one slip, Jesus Luzardo is a guy who could dominate the game for the Marlins. So obviously, like I always say, it depends on the price. But if this is a situation where the Marlins' price is right, I would not be afraid to take the dog. But the Braves are still a really good team. So if the price is really short, we could back them too. So again, just all about the price. That's why I get the prices there, what we need, what we're looking for on the screen, and you can check out the Google Sheet. Those prices are listed there as well. 7:05 Eastern, first pitch Yankees at the Rangers. Sideline projects 7.9 for this one. Actual total is 7.5, so I thought long and hard about this one. It's just not a big enough edge for me to go over. That's just a personal preference. If I was going to play this, I would go over rather than under. It is 2 solid pitchers, but you still have an average Rangers offense and a well above average Yankees offense. I'm assuming the Yankees have a full starting lineup in this one, knowing that they're going to have multiple days off. I can't see them really trying to rest everybody in these spots. You never know exactly what's going to happen. So I'm assuming a full Yankees offense that needs a lot of runs because their offense is pretty good at this point, mostly healthy, despite starting the month off very unhealthy and a very average-looking offense, now up to kind of full strength. Luis Severino and Martin Perez. I'm just going to stick with the Yankees on this one. Both of these pitchers are both pretty good. Model gives Severino 86, Perez an 88. So the pitching's a wash, and at that point, I'll take the Yankees bullpen over the Rangers bullpen. I'll take the Yankees offense over the Rangers offense. It's a little short for me. Right now, model says minus 152, so minus 139 on the Yankees is a B grade play, almost an A grade play. If I could be fully confident I had a normal starting lineup for the Yankees, and/or if it just wasn't Martin Perez, who is capable of taking over the game himself, I'd give this an A grade. It's almost an A grade pick on the Yankees. It's a B plus grade. The model doesn't tend to back the Yankees a lot, so I think this is a really good spot to do it. I just can't quite get there with an A grade, but I do think the Yankees are worth an investment. I just think there's a couple of other things on the board that I like a little better. So B grade pick for me on the Yankees at minus 139. Again, as you can see on screen, minus 137. So just maybe a nickel shorter than that, and it would get to A grade quality for me there. Blue Jays at the Orioles, 7:05 Eastern, first pitch. It'll be chilly in Baltimore, mid-50s for this one. A slight chance of rain, which they will trying to get this game in if they can. If not, they will need to make it up as a doubleheader, given the fact that this could easily affect home field in the 4-5 series between the Jays and the Rays at this point. So they can't just completely ignore it. So there's some rain in the area, so they might play through some light sprinkles, something to keep note of here. Winds been blowing in from center field at about 10 miles an hour. I've been riding these Blue Jays overs, and they've been really good to us. But here it's a pass for me in the total. Sideline says 7.8, actual total's 8. I'd actually probably lean a little bit under if I had to, but I'm not going to touch this total, given both these starting pitchers have some question marks. Scrimmers had a solid year at 3.17 on the ERA, but the advanced metrics say it should be in the low 4s. This Blue Jays offense is so good, you just never know when they're going to go off. Despite wind blowing in, they can just hit double after double after double. And Berrios, my goodness, he's been so bad all season. I've talked a lot about this. 5.37 ERA. Now, the advanced metrics say it's not that bad, but it sure ain't good either. So, I mean, it's an under that makes sense based off the weather. It's an under that makes sense based off the Orioles, been more of an under team. But given the Jays' offense, it's a total that I think I don't think offers a lot of value at the current price of 8. Instead, I'll take the Orioles on the run line at minus 138. If we look at the money line here, sideline says it should be Blue Jays minus 116. We've been riding the Blue Jays a lot lately, and it's been working out for us. But the current price on the Jays is minus 126. As you can see on screen there, minus 126, which isn't anywhere near where we need them to play them. Instead, the Orioles' current price of 116 is almost to a B grade, and I think the Orioles in the run line make a lot of sense. They've still been playing hard. They're still trying to get as many wins as possible, knowing this is the best season they've had in quite a while. I think the Orioles in the run line makes a lot of sense. It's minus 138 right now. It's a B grade pick for me. Current price matters a lot in this one. I've seen a lot of these Jays games, and a couple of the Orioles too, move a lot from when I'm locking these picks here the night before into the morning and the day before starting lineups. That's the key. Is when starting lineups are announced, now we have to make a little bit more of an adjustment. If it's a normal starting lineup, we're fine, but if a key guy or two is out, that kind of makes things a little bit murkier. But before starting lineups are announced, I've seen a lot of these Blue Jays lines move 20 cents in one direction or the other. This line moves a lot. Maybe the Jays make a lot more sense, right? So you can see on screen minus 113. It's minus 126 right now. If it drops 15 cents and a minus 111, I'd be very comfortable backing the Jays at minus 111. It just depends on how this line moves, and maybe it doesn't move at all. So maybe it's all a moot point. But just when you're watching this, check what prices you can get. Right now, it's kind of where if it moves either direction, I think either side can make a lot of sense. I like the Orioles run line here. Again, as long as it's like minus 140 or better, I think it makes sense. But that doesn't mean the Jays money line play won't make sense either if the price comes down just a little bit. So just things to keep an eye on here on this game. 17 Eastern first pitch, Nats at the Mets. Talked about the Braves. Obviously, the Mets on the other side of that. A little bit disappointing of a weekend for them, to say the least, coming back home. 3 games that they should win and at least put the pressure on the Braves. But again, traveling, who knows what sort of hangover they might have from that. The Sunday Night Baseball teams have nothing well the next day. You have to be a little bit leery of the Mets here, especially at these big prices. They should be massive favorites, though. Carlos Carrasco, an above-average pitcher, 395 ERA on the season, and the advanced metrics say it should be a little bit better than that. Corey Abbott for the Mets, a below-average pitcher, one of the worst in the starting pitcher database that I've got. 5.11 ERA, and the advanced metrics say it should be about 6. So it's massive edge to the Mets and the starting pitcher, massive edge in the bullpen, massive edge on the offense at home. I mean, the Mets should be massive favorites in this one. No line right now, but sideline says it should be Mets minus 312. But I mean, at some point, it's just a really expensive price and a nervous price. Sideline here, you can see as long as it starts with a 2, is comfortable playing the Mets. Anything better than, say, 275, he likes them with an A grade, but it's just really steep. I mean, that's all there is to it. At some point, if you lay minus 250 and it's out there, I mean, it's not the craziest play. Maybe you decide to parlay it because protect yourself on the odds. Maybe you go run line. Problem is, sideline says 6.5 runs, so laying a run and a half isn't really enticing either. So it's a tough one to figure out. Obviously, if you get the Nats at a really high price, maybe take a chance on them. You can see the price needle on screen. It's just a tougher game to handicap, in my opinion. Weather-wise, it'll be upper 50s, and the winds will be blowing in at 10 to 15 miles an hour, so we're just not expecting a lot of runs. I'd love to get under 7 in this one. You have a pitcher-friendly ballpark, winds blowing in, cold night. And Mets traveling, if that's going to affect anything, it's going to affect their bats. So, again, I don't. If we see like minus 250, minus 260, minus 270 on the Mets, I feel like you got to stick to money line, but it's just such steep odds whether you try to parlay it with something else or how you figure out what you do. I just run line just is scary, given that we don't expect a lot of runs. This could easily be a 3-2 Mets win. So again, not expecting a lot of runs, expecting the Mets to win. Again, as always, just depends on the price and what we can get. 17 Eastern first pitch, Rays at the Red Sox. A chilly one in Boston, low 50s, and the wind's blowing in. Starting off over 10 miles an hour, finishing around 10 miles an hour. Another under spot, I think. Sideline says 7.6. I'm going to take under 8. Fenway, when the weather's been like this, has been a fairly reliable under park this season, despite being, in general, a more hitter-friendly ballpark. You've got two pitchers who can keep the opposing offenses down. Don't know if they will, but they can. And Tyler Glasnow and Rich Hill. Glasnow went 3 innings in his return. Gave up 1 run. Advanced metrics not as favorable, but he does have a track record of being a solid pitcher and getting that start out of the way. You expect him to be able to go, 4 or 5 innings on this one and turn it over to a solid Rays bullpen. Rich Hill for the Red Sox still rates out his average, which is incredible at his age. 4.41 ERA, advanced metrics actually right around 4. So obviously a little bit of an edge pitching-wise for the Rays. Their bullpen's better, the starter's better, but the Red Sox bat's probably a little bit better. I think the Rays pitching edge is pretty large, though. That's why sideline says it should be Rays minus 121. The issue is that the price is Rays minus 136. As you can see on screen, that's nowhere near what we need to back them. Current price for the Red Sox is plus 126. That's good enough for a B-grade pick, but expecting not a lot of runs. I'm going to take them on the run line. That way, if it's 2-2 late, I don't care who wins 3-2. If it's 3-3 late, I don't care who wins 4-3. I'll take the Red Sox in the run line at minus 143. That's a B-grade pick for me, and I'm going to take the under 8 at minus 105. Like I said, I'm expecting a 2-2, 3-3 game late. Got a good chance to win both those picks. 7:40 Eastern first pitch. Diamondbacks at the Brewers. Brewers really needing a big start today from Brandon Woodruff, given the bullpen usage that they've had here last couple days. Obviously, he's capable of it. A very good pitcher, 3.05 ERA on the season. It's just he's got to go out and do it. That's really all there is to it. The playoff hopes really relying on him going out. I'm not going to say needs a complete game win, but needs 8 innings. Needs to win this one and set themselves up for success the rest of the series. Diamondbacks team can be frisky. They're still playing hard. They've got a lot of young guys. I'm going to take the Diamondbacks on the run line. Tommy Henry gets the ball for them. Hasn't been great. 5.98 ERA. Definitely a below average pitcher. But the Diamondbacks been playing well, and I think around minus 110 is what I'm seeing on the run line. I think they can hang in there. I mean, part of the success we had this weekend back in the Marlins on the run line was about the Marlins. Part of it was the Brewers. Part of it their bullpen being beat up. I mean, I just think the Diamondbacks can hang in there in this game. Maybe they win, maybe they don't. But basically having a normal standard minus 110 bet, where if the Diamondbacks lose by 1, we still win, I think that makes a lot of sense. I just can't back the Brewers at the current price of minus 220. That's just crazy high. Sideline says it should be Brewers minus 187. To me, rather than backing the Brewers at those prices, rather than backing the Brewers run line at these prices, what I would do is I would just back Brandon Woodruff's props because he's going to be the key to success. So I would back his outs over, his strikeouts over, maybe split a bet between those two or runs under, something like that. Look at his player prop market rather than backing the Brewers, because if this game is tight late, and it is a 2-2 type game, you don't want to have laid minus 220 on the Brewers, and you don't want to have laid run line knowing they're the home team and it's going to be harder for them to win by that many runs. You just want to have said, get your money and get out of it with the good Woodruff start. And if Woodruff doesn't pitch well and you lose that pick, then you aren't going to win your Brewers run line or your money line pick anyway, because that bullpen at this point is in shambles and the Diamondbacks are going to sneak away with a victory. So it's either Woodruff if you like the Brewers, or I'm just on the Diamondbacks. Again, the current price of plus 200 is a B-grade pick. I think they got a shot to win. It might be worth a flyer at the price of plus 200, but I just think the run line also makes a lot of sense. Either way you want to look at it. I think it's Diamondbacks or Woodruff for the ways for this one. Projecting the roof to be closed. Sideline says total of 7.5. Actual total is exactly 7.5. 8:10 Eastern first pitch. Twins at the White Sox. Two teams I'm going to be glad to not have to deal with in the playoffs. They've been kind of up and down all over the place all season long, it seems like. In Chicago, it'll be upper 50s to start, mid 50s to close. Winds will be blowing in, but not that strong, only around 5 miles an hour. Sideline says total of 7. Total actually is 7, so we're kind of back to some well-priced totals. Had a little stretch there where they were a little bit mispriced. We had some value on them, but as this last week kind of went on, the prices got a little bit better, and they're pretty good today, I think. So it's passing the total. Sideline says White Sox should be slight favorites in this one. I'll take the Twins at plus 110. As you can see, that price of 110 that I was able to lock in just sneaks in on the B grade. It's a coin toss game with just a slight edge to the White Sox. So plus 110 is a good pick, but it's not a great one because White Sox should be slight favorites in my opinion. They've got a starting pitcher edge barely with Johnny Cueto over Bailey Ober. Cueto and Ober both outperforming their underlying metrics, but I think Cueto's just projects a little bit better than Ober, not by much, just a little. Reliever-wise, I guess the White Sox relievers are a little bit better. Both of them are solid, but both of them have let their teams down a little bit this season. Offensively, Twins offense rates better, but it's obviously been a little bit of a disappointment. Even without Buxton, it still rates better. I'll take the Twins here just because it's plus 110. I think it's decent value, but it's not a fun game given that you just don't know what you're going to get from either one of these teams. But two decent pitchers. That's why the total's 7. I'd love to go under 7.5 at reasonable odds, but unfortunately that isn't available to us right now. 8:10 Eastern first pitch. Phillies at the Astros. Phillies, had their chance to really take a hold of the wild card race, and now having to play Houston here. Not what they wanted to do. Good news for them. The Astros have to play for. Bad news for them. As I mentioned with the Yankees, the Astros probably not going to be resting a lot of guys. Maybe on Monday night, giving them a rest, but you feel like they'll probably play everybody Tuesday, Wednesday, given they'll have a lot of days off. So the Phillies put themselves in a tough position by not taking care of business against the Nats here. Obviously, Kyle Gibson being public enemy number 1 with how he looked down the stretch. But, when you got Aaron Nola on the hill, you can always win any ball game. That's what we're projecting for the Phillies is Nola versus Lance McCullers. McCullers, solid season. He's come back 2.38 ERA, advanced metrics down, have him in the mid-3s. So he's kind of rounding into form, which is good if you're an Astros fan. Nola, of course, has been in great form all season long. So Nola's a better pitcher in this one. That's the only edge the Phillies are going to have is I like the Astros bullpen a little bit better and their offense is a little bit stronger. Sideline says it should be Astros minus 122. So if we get better than minus 120, that's a B grade pick. Minus 110 or better would be an A grade pick on them for the Phillies. You plus 125 to play on plus 135 for an A grade. Given a total of 7.3 from the model, another situation where I think Phillies run line would be the way to look, especially being the road team, harder for the home team to win by multiple runs. If you're playing the Astros, though, I think you just stick to the money line on that one. 9:40 Eastern first pitch. Giants at the Padres. Padres looking to enter the playoffs strong as they've at least separated themselves from the Brewers and the Phillies. They'll solidly be in that 5 spot. John Brebbie is going to open for the Giants after Scott Alexander opened a couple games here for them this weekend. Yet another bullpen game for the Giants. They've had some pitcher injuries here at the end of the season, just kind of playing out the string. Playing hard, playing well. Those relievers just it's like every time you turn around to the Giants bullpen game, they'll try it again here. Unfortunately for them, rather than playing the Diamondbacks, they're playing the Padres, and they'll get Joe Musgrove, who looking to, fine-tune himself for the playoffs at an up and down second half, still finishing the season here with an ERA around 3, still gets an 84 grade from the model, but obviously Padres fans wanting him to have a nice start here heading into the playoffs. Padres offense better than the Giants offense. The relievers are better. I've got the Padres here at minus 207 is what Sideline says. Reliever starts with a 1. I'm okay playing the Padres. I'm looking for minus 185. That'd be an A-grade pick. If it's the Giants, you got to have really big plus odds for that to have value. Sideline says 8.3. So 8, 8.5. You could play those if you wanted, but those are tougher. Really, 9 would be an under spot. 7.5 would be over. Probably I'm expecting a total of 7.5. I'm expecting to be on the over. Giants offense above average. Musgrove has given up some runs. I expect the Giants to be able to put up a few on him. And of course, all the Giants relievers should give up some runs somewhere to this really good Padres offense. So I'm expecting a total of 7.5. And if we do, I do like that over. I think we can get to 8 runs. Like I said, a total of 8 or 8.5, though, it's a pass for me. 9:40 Eastern start time. The Tigers will head out to Seattle and play the Mariners. Projecting the roof to be closed on this one, and a massive mismatch here with regards to the starting pitcher Brian Garcia for the Tigers and George Kirby for the Mariners. Both of these guys have ERAs in the 320s, but the underlying metrics, not only in 13 innings, for Garcia say his ERA should be around 6 based off his minor league numbers. He does not project well, gets a 123 grade from the model. Kirby, on the other hand, is every bit as good as that 321 ERA and gets an 83 grade. Mariners should be massive favorites in this one. I'm projecting Julio Rodriguez as 50-50 to play in this, as he's going to give it a go. They really want to get him back and getting some reps before the playoffs. So they're going to do everything they can to try to get him back sometime this series. It sounds like he might play center field, might DH for this game. So adding him in as a possibility, even if he doesn't play, the Mariners should be massive favorites in this one. Sideline says they should be minus 333. Current price on the Mariners is minus 250. That's good enough for an A grade. But the Mariners have been a very inconsistent team here for us the last few weeks. We made a ton of money back in the Mariners, not blindly, but backing them, 5 days out of 6. Been really inconsistent the last few weeks. Sideline says 7.6 runs. I'm going to go over 7. I think we can at least get to 7, get that push there, and got a good chance to get to 8. And given the way the Mariners have been, I think the run line actually makes more sense. Even though they're the home team, I always talk about the home team favorite run line. I only want that if I think it can get ugly. I think this one can get ugly. This Mariners offense, if it's going to happen, they're going to hit off of Garcia. They're going to get a lot of runs. Tigers not be able to score off Kirby. Feels like a good chance we got this game 5-0 in the 4th inning. It turns into a rout. So I'm going to back the Mariners on the run line. Save myself a ton on the odds. The run line price on the Mariners is 117. So minus 117, a much better play than minus 250. If the Mariners lose, we've just saved ourselves so much on the odds. And that's kind of been the way the Mariners have gone. They've either come out and played really well, or they've just kind of gone out there and really struggled like they did on Sunday and didn't look good. So at that point, I'd rather save myself these crazy odds. I'd rather lay the money line if Sideline was projecting like 6.2 for the runs or something like that. But given that we're expecting, closer to 8 runs, I think the run line here makes a lot of sense. Only having to pay minus 117, given that the money line's minus 250, I think it's a pretty good deal for us. And so I'm going to play the Mariners on the run line as an A grade pick. And I'm going to play that over 7 as well. 9:40 Eastern, first pitch. Angels at the A's. Angels really get it done for us here down the stretch. I'm going to back them again here on Monday. They're playing hard, playing well, playing like the team their fans hope they would all season. And part of it's their pitching is looking solid. They got another good pitcher here tonight. Patrick Sandoval gets an 88 grade from the model, 3.03 ERA on the season. Underlying metrics say maybe a tad higher. Heck of a lot better, though, than A.J. Martinez and his 6 ERA. Underlying metrics say probably shouldn't be that bad, but still, Sandoval a much better pitcher than Martinez. The Angels bullpen not good, but I still think it's better than the A's bullpen. The Angels offense, again, been talking about it, a little bit above average here, the way they've been playing this month. I'm going to back the Angels at minus 171. It's a B grade pick. As you can see on the screen, it's firmly in between A and B grade territory. Not a good enough price for an A grade. And my hunch is it won't be. My hunch is this is the best price we're going to get. There tends to be money that comes in on Anaheim and tends to come in against Oakland as we get closer to first pitch. So I don't think this price is really going to get any better. But Sideline says it should be minus 183. So a little bit of value here in the Angels at minus 171. I think they get it done. You could look run line, but we aren't expecting a lot of runs. It's a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. So I'm just going to play the money line. The price isn't too steep for my taste. Minus 171 solid. Total is 7. Sideline says 6.9. So just not really any value there on the total, in my opinion. And then wrapping us up, the other 6-game series we talked about between the Rockies and the Dodgers, all of them in the same location. Weather-wise in LA, it'll be nice. It'll be mid to low 70s. Winds will be blowing out, but mostly under 5 miles an hour. Total on this game is 8. Sideline says 8.3, so it's a pass there. Instead, I'll take the Dodgers on the run line at minus 155 as a B grade pick. Sideline says it should be Dodgers minus 382. So it's a pretty good edge that the current price is Dodgers minus 340. As you can see on screen, not good enough for an A grade. Minus 340 would be good enough for a B grade. I just had a principle. I'm not going to lay a price like minus 340 unless it's in a parlay or unless it's like a projected total of 5 or something, and that's just 5.3 or something, and that's all we can do. Projecting a total of 8, I'm just going to translate that over to the run line and say, hey, if the Dodgers win by 1, that's fine. I don't want to lay minus 340 in case the Rockies accidentally win one. Weird things happen in baseball games all the time, and 340 is just a really tough price to lay. So I'm going to play the run line on the Dodgers minus 155. It's a B grade pick. Massive starting pitcher edge with Tony Gonsolin versus Jose Urena. Not sure how many innings Gonsolin's going to go. It shouldn't really matter because all those pitchers in the Dodgers bullpen are better than whatever the Rockies are throwing, and obviously the Dodgers offense is better than anything the Rockies has as well. So should be all Dodgers in this one. Urena's a guy we've liked to fade all season, and Gonsolin's a guy that if you've been fading him like I have for most of the season, it hasn't worked out too well. The underlying metrics suggest his ERA of 2.10 isn't really sustainable, but even if it's higher than that, again, it's still much better than whatever the Rockies are going to be throwing from start to finish. Gonsolin's still a good pitcher. I just don't think that the ERA is sustainable, but it doesn't really matter if that's the case or not. The Rockies on the road, he should have a lot of success in this scenario. So I'm all over the Dodgers here at minus 155 on the run line. That's a B grade pick. That's all 15 of your games. I'm going to get a lot of picks to make still based off of lines not being out yet. But right now I've got 3 A grade picks, maybe more to come, maybe not. But I like the Guardians at home against the Royals, the Cubs on the road at the Reds, and then the Mariners on the run line at home against the Tigers. Those are my 3 A grade picks as of now. Again, maybe more to come. Later on, always check the sheet and check Twitter for those updates. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Picks with the Professor. Check out the website if you haven't yet. It's www.pickswiththeprofessor.com. Don't forget to subscribe so you can ensure all the sports betting content we provide on this channel is right into your feed. We'll see you again tomorrow for more baseball betting content. And until then, best of luck. And remember, you can eat your betting money, but please don't bet your eating money.